So the first thing I did was insert an image back here, and as you can see, it's just a big image that I created, that I just found on the internet, of a beach scene that I want to incorporate in my model. And using the Twilight render toolbar, I'm just gonna go ahead and select this paint bucket tool, and I'm going to use the eyedrop to select it. And here you'll see a brief preview of the image, and I created this into an emitter object and gave it some power to it so that it's brighter than just a flat surface. And that's all I did for that, so that when it renders, you can see that image looks more realistic. And here I just popped in a person that I found on 3D Warehouse, so you can find a lot of great objects and people and things in 3D Warehouse. Same thing with all these fixtures were popped in from 3D Warehouse. I did create these cabinets and this layout. And one thing also is each one of these surfaces has had an additional attribute applied to it from Twilight Render. So I go over this a little bit more in some of my other courses. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, just please check out some of those other courses. And here again, here we have our glass. So I used one of Twilight Render's template materials, architectural glass common. And as you can see, it's right there. That's where it says the Twilight material that's applied to the SketchUp material. So it's Twilight is a very easy program to use. It's a free plugin that you can download and have installed in your SketchUp. Whether it's SketchUp Make or Pro, it will work for each one. And let me just show you this example here. So that's for my stainless steel. So this is what it will look like when we actually go to render it. So I created a scene here. I'm just going to double click that scene. And when I'm ready, after I've set it, well, actually, let me go over one more thing before I get into the actual final render. You have to insert lights, and this is our create light tool here. And here I could click on here, and this will show you the lights that I have in this model. So I have a point light, which I'm using as just an ambient light, which you can see one right there. They're highlighted in blue now since I have them selected. And here's the power of those lights, the size of it, and the color that it is emitting. So I have just 2 of those lights. As you can see here, that's the quantity, 2. And can lights, I have a lot of can lights in this. And you can see there's 22 of them, and we can see them in there. These little can light holes that I've created. And also I have, I call it a log light, which is just the lighting in this piece here. I created a separate light because I want them to not be as bright as the lights that I have over there in my can lights. And another thing I did is on these lights here, I created these into an emitter material so that they look like a light as well. So that's a real brief summary of what I did here. And let's see now what happens when we go ahead into our render settings. And let's go ahead and maximize that. I'm just going to click this to fit to the proportions of my screen. And I'm going to make sure I'm set on the easy render setting, interiors, number 9. And that's it. I'm just going to hit start. And no, I want to render my entire scene. So I'm going to hit no. And then it's just a matter of sitting back and waiting and seeing the final product that you have. And I did, after this rendering was done, I did just touch it up a little bit with a photo editor. Sometimes I use the Windows photo editor. Sometimes that's sufficient. Sometimes I want to go into Photoshop and maybe add a little bit more effects to it. Nothing too major, but just a little bit of touching up. So really good, great program, easy to use. And I've enjoyed using it for many years right now, and I'm also getting into using Lumion and some other different softwares. So there we can begin to see the rendering that's taking place, and here in our post process we can actually adjust some of the settings right here. So right now I have my exposure set up a little bit high. I could probably reduce that, and the gamma. So let's try and see if I reduce that down. And let's see what it does. And here you can see some of the light fixtures, the light settings that I have. You can see how bright the background image is. We can see some sunlight setting, which is the same sunlight from SketchUp. It's transferring over to Twilight. And here I've added a emitter surface underneath my cabinets. There you can see the emitters there. There's some emitter surface over here as well. And you can see the lights from the can lights. So what's happening is it's going to continue to render and it just, with the number 9 setting, it will continue to render almost indefinitely. It'll go for hours, for days, weekends. I've let renderings go weekends before, and it just continues to refine it. But what I've noticed is maybe after 10 to 15 passes on this ray tracing here, that's when the image really begins to get clear and really look pretty nice. So there you have it, just a quick run through of how to render with Twilight in SketchUp, and I hope you've enjoyed this fast track course. I hope it's giving you a good foundation in which you can continue to learn and grow in your SketchUp skills. Thank you for watching it. Please check out some of my other videos, and I will see you next time. Thanks.